Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video by Dom2K titled 8 NBA players that were projected to be stars by 2020. So it's gonna be going, man, because I'm going to assume he's gonna be going with guys that are either just like basic role players or maybe actual NBA busts now and just never really became the stars, man. So link to Dom's channel in the description below. Let's go ahead and get started, man. I think it's gonna be a good video. Let's go. All right, man. Who's it gonna be? Anthony Bennett?
So, thanks to Google, I was able to scour the deepest bowels of the interwebs.
Rocking the Dwayne Wade, not really a jersey, is it? It's a shirt, maybe?
For what the NBA was going to be like upon the 2020 season. As in, the players that were supposed to be stars, the players that were supposed to be
Dom
really
was a
good.
Celtics fan.
And so, this list is based off of those projections. YouTube titles only have so many characters, so this isn't necessarily for players that were just supposed to be stars and now they've disappointed. Yeah, there's a lot of those on this list and they're going to be funny to look at, but this is just looking at some projections that were made back around the year 2015-2016, and a lot of them are fascinating because I don't think it worked out the way some of us thought it would.
Buddy Hield?
Okay,
oh, Rodney Hood, okay.
Rodney Hood's section off by saying I have never watched him and thought he was
good on the Utah Jazz. He was like, didn't he have like an 18-point per game season? I actually liked it. I mean, I'm a 6'8" wing player that can shoot, right? Nice little lefty.
Supposed to be an all-star. I never watched him and thought he was star material, or franchise player material, or anything like that. More so, I've taken him at face value, and Rodney Hood has been a good role player, basically. However, in the depths of the summer 2016, there was then a prediction that had Rodney Hood, who was then a member of the Utah Jazz, averaging 15 points a game. There was a prediction that had him becoming an all-star. Now, fair assessment maybe. It was only his second year, he was doing okay, and so the explanation behind it was if Hood could take strides in getting to the hoop and getting fouled, he can move from quote weapon
he just never did that.
offensive centerpiece. That's a gigantic leap and not many players have made it. However, in fairness to this prediction, it does say here that the other path forward for him could be a Wesley Matthews type guy, somebody who just comes in and hits threes as a role player, maybe 3-and-D. And so here we are starting the 2020 season, and I think that's a fair assessment for him.
Being like 6'8" like that, you would hope he would have done more than just kind of settle for jump shots, just because, like, I mean, playing near like that 2 spot, we have a little bit of handles out there. It's like he should have been able to get to the basket a lot more, but
Hood. Definitely not a terrible player, not at all the disappointment that you are going to see further down this list, but that's why he is number 9, and personally I had just never known that anybody thought he was going to be an all-star, so it was worth mentioning that.
It's understandable after that season, though, where you might say that.
Okay, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was drafted in the year 2012.
Ugly ass jump shot
Michael
Kidd-Gilchrist.
He had finished his 4th season and he actually only played 7 games in the 2016 season because of a dislocated shoulder. Now, I had no clue by the year 2016 that anybody still hoped that he was going to become an all-star.
Wasn't he like the 4th pick in the draft?
Saying by the year 2020 he would be an all-star hopeful. And so the justification for that here says that during those 7 games he did play in 2016, the Hornets net rating jumped to 15.
He's like a taller Andre Roberson. Like, yeah, he's got like decent, I mean, not, probably even like, he's like a taller, worse Andre Roberson, I think is the best way to put it. Like, maybe like Andre Roberson after like breaking up with Rachel Demita, you know what I'm saying, man? Just like a little bit on the decline, and I feel like that's kind of how he is these days.
7 during the 205 minutes that he played. And so based on his 2014 to 2015 play, that sample size was valid because that season showed that it wasn't a fluke, saying that that year when he did not play, the Hornets net rating was negative 8.3 versus when he did play. As soon as I saw that little thing he does this jump shot, man, I knew it was the GG.
It
also goes on to say that his defensive skills would eventually make him defensive player of the year worthy when he's healthy.
I'm blocking 6'7" Jason Maxiell.
I get why in 2016 when he
and everybody's blocking Brandon Knight.
Still
right?
Just 22 years old, you didn't want to give up on him all the way. But here we are entering the 2020 season. He's around 25, 26 years old. I don't really see all-star in his future. He started 3 games last year, hasn't showed any kind of significant improvement, and the shooting form could probably benefit from lethal shooter. Markelle Fultz makes this list kind of by default, but
I believe in Markelle Fultz
here that still, right now, he's only around 20, 21 years old. And being that he was drafted in 2017, I don't think it's fair to really say he should have been like a star or an all-star by now, but I would say all-star hopeful at least. I do remember the Fultz hype when he was drafted. I do remember thinking the Celtics were after him and wondering how Isaiah Thomas was going to be able to play with him. That was before everything flipped and Kyrie got there, but yes, at very least, Fultz was supposed to be a lot farther ahead than he is right now, but we know the situation. To be honest, we haven't even really seen how
he's finally just completely healthy. Like, I think we got to give Markelle Fultz about 2 to 3 more seasons. I really think that at this point, man, like not only just coming back and being fully healthy, but also just like really, I don't want to say learn the game of basketball again, but really just adapting to the NBA game and everything.
He stacks up against NBA competition yet. As far as I'm concerned, this is pretty much his rookie year, because this might be the first time we actually see him on the court for any long amount of time, any large sample size. So as a guy who was picked first overall, he still has a very good chance to make it off the list of guys who did not get close to their projections. I think the difference between him and a guy like Lonzo, who is not going to be on this list, I'm just going to tell you now. Look, LeVar hyped the hell out of Lonzo to the point that it was trolling. So we knew he was good in college, but he hasn't come to the league and just totally faltered. For the people that have watched him, when he's been on the court, he's been pretty good. The court vision is there. LeBron. He's a good rebounder for a point guard. And with this fresh start on a young team, I don't think that ball has fallen off of the track of his projection yet, and that's really who this list is more made for.
Yeah, I think Lonzo Ball is a fine player. He's a fine player.
Justice Winslow.
Ooh.
After his rookie year, there was a prediction that had him as a all-star hopeful for 2020. And it was based off of the fact that in his rookie year, he was very valuable on the defensive end of the ball. Specifically, there was a math metric that showed that he saved more points than all but 36 players in his rookie year, and the thought process went that he could be a dynamic scorer in college, so if that were to come through on top of his defense, he would definitely be an all-star.
He's a great all-around player, that's for damn sure.
I'd say that was a fair projection, and literally as I got ready to record this video, he debuts the 2020 season with 27, 7, and 7. Extremely good game for him, not against a great team, but that is definitely a positive sign for Miami fans. Numbers is still numbers. He is in year 5, and I know they, as well as people who were writing this article, were hoping that by now he would start to show some signs of breakout, because if you were going by the last few years and the way it's been tracking, it's been looking more like role player. So just 23 years old, very long time to go, especially when you consider
not a top 2 piece on a championship team. If he's playing like he did in his season opener, definitely a third guy though, definitely a third guy. So I still think the Miami Heat are going to need to get that second guy to play Jimmy Butler. And I think Justice Winslow, if they are able to do that without training Justice Winslow, they're in a great position.
Consider that a torn labrum kept him out of all of his second year nearly. He only played 18 games that season. So really he's only got 3 seasons in the league, and he's in a role where he can grow as much as he needs. So we'll see where it goes from here. Oh yeah, there were very high hopes for the Dragon when he was taken 4th overall by the Phoenix Suns in the 2016 NBA draft. The scouts had no doubt that he was a future star, that he was actually going to be the #1
future bitch ass, current bitch ass.
And they said he could do it all. Post up, shoot from the perimeter, drive, kick, rebound.
Can't do any of that
and
shit.
They saw him as, quote, the NBA's next great European import. So I've been very cautious up to this point talking about guys that only have 4 years in the league, 5 years in the league. Bender was 21 last season, and he's only got 3 seasons.
Where's he even at?
What we're looking at is projection, how it's tracking. And right now, there's absolutely nothing that says any of what was projected is going to become true. It's just not there. So,
bro, he plays like damn Andrea Bargnani with 2 torn ACLs. Like, he just has nothing about him that just even shows any sign of a, I don't want to say like even like a decent NBA player. Like, he just needs to put the basketball down, man. He might need to get a job somewhere else. I don't know where at. Maybe work at like a grocery store where he can reach the high aisle. I don't really know, being 7'1". I really don't know at this point.
If you were going to say he's going to turn into a good role player in a couple of years, yeah, that's doable. But from where he's at, next great European import,
where's he playing?
Nowitzki, nah, I doubt it.
Where's he playing these days?
Jahlil Okafor is entering his 5th season. He is now with the New Orleans Pelicans.
Great player, outdated skill set.
Is being talked about as a resurgence story. It's looked at that way because he was drafted and looked at as a 20 and 10 All-Star in the future. That's just what it was. There's literally a quote here in his prediction that says, "It's not all that far-fetched to suggest Okafor is already the NBA's most deft low-post scorer, even though he's still in college," because this was written when he was
great
in
at the low post.
That was the type of hype around him, and everybody wanted him. Luckily, out of big men, Minnesota went with Cat, and Philly landed him with the 3rd pick. Crazy thing is, he came in and filled rookie expectations. He played only 53 games, but averaged 18 points and 7 rebounds.
Okay, 18.
His defense was a problem from the jump, but he was on track then, and it just got worse every year. It got bad enough to the point that at some point during this small 5-year sample size, we were discussing whether he was going to be able to stick around in the league.
Jahlil Okafor is just like literally like a decade and a half, I'll be honest, Tom. Like, I really do think that if he would have played like in the early 2000s, he would have blossomed into an all-star. He just, doesn't fit the current era of basketball. And it's like, he's still like a fine backup dude. Like, I don't mind him there as like a scoring inside guy, but no, definitely not worth the 3rd pick.
League or not. So now playing a role for the Pelicans, again, it's just resurgence. It's about proving he can play, proving he belongs, and he's been pretty decent for them. But pretty decent was not the projection for Okafor, it was star. That being said, it looks like he's going to be serviceable.
Yeah, I like that mid-range fold we just had, that was nice. Do that more.
Not everybody is made to be a franchise cornerstone, and right now we can probably say that is true of Okafor. Okay, Josh Jackson is where we can draw the line and just say bust. When he was drafted, the talk around him was straight cash money. While he was still in college, every scout had basically the same thing to say. And specifically, they mentioned that his mental and competitive side of the game were where they needed to be for him to carry over his college talents to the league and become a star. One scout said that Josh Jackson was the best shooting guard prospect that he had ever scouted. And so follows, he thought that by 2020, he was supposed to be one of the top players at his position.
Is he playing on Memphis?
So he had all the skills and the mental toughness to make it happen in the league according to the scouts. Then this summer, the Suns basically let him go for salary relief. And just yesterday, the Grizzlies declined his team option.
Oh, damn.
He's playing in the G League this year. So he was taken 4th overall by Phoenix in the 2017 draft. He's only played 2 seasons, and there's already a question, like, next season is not promised for him.
He looked like he's flicking us off. Oh, he's pointing.
He's pointing, okay. It's off-court struggles. So at the age of, like, 21 years old, there's nothing to say that he can't come back and be a role player.
Bro, he can go work with Dragon.
But to go from where he is now to reach his star projections, that would take something pretty miraculous, basically like we hadn't seen before.
Stanley Johnson.
Andrew Wiggins was supposed to have exploded by now. There's simply no other way to put it.
What numbers is Wiggins putting up this season, man? Because I'm hearing he's playing good basketball. I think this was made before that, but yeah.
He had MVP projections, All-Stars, All-NBA. He was supposed to be helping lead the Timberwolves to Western Conference Finals appearances, and there was supposed to be this whole thing going on in Minnesota with him, and there's no way to tell if it's ever going to materialize. Right now, it's leaning towards a hard no. Back when the predictions were made, he was just starting to put up the numbers that you expected.
They called
the next LeBron. Around the 2017 season, and he was already at about 24 points a game. That was at the age of 21 with endless space and room to get better. So the problem isn't even that he stagnated or didn't get better, it's
declined.
That he actively got worse.
Yep.
There are no expectations of the Timberwolves making the playoffs this year. There are no expectations of his first All-Star appearance. He is nowhere near.
This is before they went 3-0, guys. Just saying.
At this point, we would have to start with him getting back to where he was in 2017 and then go from there. So coming into his 6th season, if we don't at least get there, then we can kind of go ahead and drop all the star projections. As a matter of fact, most people have already dropped them. The way it's tracking, Wiggins will likely be no more than a role player, to be honest. Put up some points, I think be a little not very efficiently,
above average
and
role
leave
player.
us all to wonder what happened to all those tools that he had coming into the league. How did it not materialize? And there you have it. There's the list of guys who have.
All right, that was a very good video. I agree with pretty much all these right here for the most part. I still think Stanley Johnson, man. People thought Stanley Johnson was supposed to be like the real deal, just like this amazing scorer and guy out of college that would have been like a defensive lockdown player. Man, it's the biggest bitch ass really in NBA history. Yeah, guys, give me a player in the comment section below that really had like high expectations and just kind of ended up being a bust or just not really materialized. Thank you all so much for watching. Link to Dom's channel description below. Peace out, my friends.